90-Day Fiancé gives viewers an inside look into troubled relationships, although some pairs are more problematic than others. The series shows in-depth and personal footage, and the 90DF franchise is centered on relationships. There is genuine love and authentic heartbreak, sometimes within the same love stories. With some pairs breaking up after they try to make international romances work, and others overcoming every challenge, a variety of outcomes are shown on screen. This means that certain 90-Day Fiancé couples don't make it down the aisle. While there are 90-Day Fiancé couples who decide that their relationships aren't worth the amount of pressure and hardship that they bring, others pairs realize that they are just not well suited. Couples, including 90-Day Fiancé's Darcy Silva and Jesse Meester, were simply wrong for one another, and they are very memorable. However, duos who were more troubled ultimately faced more intense dramatic issues, which make them notable. The reality stars' problems frequently made them reconsider their own relationships. There is plenty to learn about 5 of the most troubled couples in the 90DF universe. 5 90-Day Fiancés. Colt Johnson. Larissa Lima. Colt Johnson and Larissa Lima were introduced during 90-Day Fiancé Season 6. After meeting on a dating website. Larissa was originally from Brazil, but had been in Mexico at the time. Therefore, Colt traveled to meet his new girlfriend, and spent 5 days getting to know her. The pair then took a trip to Rio de Janeiro, and Colt proposed while they were there, only 11 days after they met in person for the first time. Larissa moved to Las Vegas on a K-1 visa, so she could be with Colt, and the pair got married in 2018. While their relationship seemed to be working, Larissa and Colt dealt with some issues, such as her epic clashes with his mother, Debbie Johnson. Ultimately, the pair's relationship was destined to fail because of Larissa's violent nature. After marrying Colt, Larissa was arrested for domestic violence 3 times. While 2 of the arrests did not result in charges, Larissa's behavior was enough to push the pair to divorce. Larissa tried to prove that Colt had been abusive to her as well, and with all the accusations, the damage to their relationship was enough to keep the two apart for good. For 90-Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, Paul Stale, Karine Stale. Paul Stale and Karine Martins, who have one of the most chaotic relationships in the franchise, were introduced during 90-Day Fiancé, before the 90 Days Season 1. The couple was not yet engaged, but were dating internationally. Paul met Karine on a website that specifically catered to Latin women and their prospective partners. Ultimately, the two met in her native Brazil, after talking for some time. While the pair had to deal with a language barrier as they got to know each other, their relationship became even more difficult once they were married, and living in the United States. Paul and Karine have had an on and off relationship, and during their breakups, the two often chose to accuse each other of infidelity. Each claimed the other was abusive. After their marriage, Paul claimed that Karine cheated on him, potentially conceiving their children with another man. Karine consistently alleged that Paul had abused her, but ultimately retracted those claims. Paul and Karine both had restraining orders against each other by 2021. Due to violent behavior in their home, their children were placed in foster care. The exes still do not have legal custody of their children. 3 90-Day Fiancés. George Nava Anfisa Arkhipchenko. Viewers met George Nava and Anfisa Arkhipchenko during 90-Day Fiancé Season 4, and the couple quickly became one of the most troubled pairs in the entire franchise. The lying and deceit between the pair was apparent from their first meeting. Anfisa, who was open about the fact that he was only with Jorge for his money, moved from Russia to California to be with her fiancé. When Anfisa finally reached Jorge, she was shocked to discover that he had greatly exaggerated his earnings. Though the pair eventually got married, they were very clearly not good together. The 90-Day Fiancé couple often got into volatile fights, and Anfisa even got into a physical altercation with Jorge at one point. After trying to keep their marriage afloat, despite Anfisa's anger and George's legal troubles, the pair ultimately decided to divorce. They did so while Jorge was serving time for trafficking marijuana. 2 90-Day Fiancés. Danielle Mullins. Mohammed Jabali. Danielle and Mohammed's rough relationship was featured on 90-Day Fiancé Season 2, as well as 90-Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Seasons 1 and 2. Fans were intrigued by the couple at first, as Danielle, a 41-year-old woman from Ohio, very easily trusted Mohammed, a 26-year-old man from Tunisia. Mohammed moved to Ohio to meet and marry Danielle, but she quickly found out that her fiancé had been lying to her about being employed, and was simply committing identity theft for profit. Still, Danielle was excited about marrying Mohammed. Unfortunately, Danielle was in for a rude awakening when Mohammed, who made awful remarks about Danielle's hygiene and lack of interest in being intimate with her, left her quickly after the wedding, claiming he was going on a Florida vacation. Though Mohammed said he was only friends with his travel companion, Danielle quickly found out that he was lying. This is because she found photos of the two online, which seemed to prove that they were more than friends. She went to find Mohammed after he left, threatening to have him deported. Though the pair has since divorced, the two seem to still be friends. This is confusing to 90-Day Fiancé fans, considering how harsh Mohammed was with Danielle. 1 90-Day Fiancé's Mark Nikki Shoemaker. With one of the largest age gaps in 90-Day Fiancé history, Mark and Nikki Shoemaker were troubled from the very beginning of their relationship. Mark, who was in his late 50s when he met 19-year-old Nikki, fell for his future bride quickly, even though their families were both adamantly against their relationship. Mark's daughter, who was only a year older than Nikki, expressed her concerns about the relationship. However, Mark still pursued Nikki, and eventually married her. After a tumultuous relationship showcased on 90-Day Fiancé Season 3, the pair ultimately got out of the spotlight, and tried to live a quiet life following their stint on the show. The pair came back into the spotlight years later, when Mark filed for divorce from Nikki after 6 years of marriage. He claimed that Nikki had cheated on him, and though it was unclear if the rumors were true, 90-Day Fiancé fans celebrated the dissolution of the relationship. They knew that their age gap was a major red flag.